Hello, everyone. Ex-Bethelite here. I get a lot of questions just in general when I talk to people asking whether or not masturbation is an issue at Bethel. And I think I've spoken on this before, but obviously it's an issue because, as I've stated repetitively, Jehovah's Witnesses are the dumbest religion on the face of the earth. They could easily let sisters go to Bethel. I worked in the shipping and receiving in the food warehouse. There's no reason a woman can't work in there. There isn't much we were doing in there that was so strenuous that a woman couldn't work in there, but yet they keep telling women we're not accepting single sisters. Well, you end up in a situation where you have facilities full of men. And people always say, well, you're Bethelite, so you have every sister after you. You got to understand that in New York, where the facility is, every congregation has got Bethelites. And they've had Bethelites for as long as Bethel's been there. It's not as big of a deal to be just your average Bethelite in New York. As a matter of fact, a lot of congregations have negative views on Bethelites based on the Bethelites that they've had. They've had Bethelites that went over there and just cut up. So now that congregation, they can't stand Bethelites. So the concept that in New York, you're going to go there, you're going to be around a bunch of men and all these women are after you, is not exactly accurate. Now, if you travel from Bethel to another city, maybe somewhere where they're not used to seeing Bethelites every single day, then yes. And I'm not saying that there aren't any sisters that are after Bethelites, but it's not the way you think it is in New York. Keep in mind, they've had Bethelites for forever. So if you go and talk to someone in the infirmary, talk to a nurse, talk to a doctor in the Bethel infirmary and ask them what the most common injury is for a Bethelite, and they will tell you it is a sprained wrist from all this. They sprained wrist from all that masturbating and carrying on. That's what the most common injury is in the Bethel infirmary, because it's ridiculous. And it's not that people at Bethel in general are just horrible people, the kids that go. It's the stupid Watchtower policies that put people in position where you will most likely fail, regardless of how good your intentions are. It gets so bad. I remember, these are things you're not really supposed to talk to, but let's just say a roommate that I had. I'm knocked out sleep. He's on the bed. I have a bed roll. I'm on the bed roll. And I'm sleeping right next to the TV. I'm technically sleeping on the floor. I'm sleeping right next to the TV and I'm hearing noises. And I know it's not the TV because I'm sleeping right next to the TV. And eventually I kind of roll over. And I don't know exactly what time it was. I know it was super dark. It was late at night. And I'm hearing kind of like, moaning, kind of like if somebody's watching the porn, kind of like moaning. And I'm thinking, this dude is having a wet dream. And you can't blame somebody for that because you can't control it. But he goes and he has this moan. And then he says an actual name. He says a girl's name, the physical name. Oh, such and such. I won't say the name. I won't get that detailed. That's masturbating. That's masturbating. You cannot tell me in a dream you making all that noise. You might be making noise in a dream. You can't tell me you saying names in a dream. And then after he says the name with that loud moan, I see him kind of roll up, because before you just see the sheet, kind of going up and down like that. And then he just rolls over and kind of snuggles down and has this exhale. And he was awake. He was awake and he was masturbating. And it's bad when you masturbating and your roommate is there. And the room's so small, he ain't far. So masturbation is an issue at Bethel. But I think the reason it is an issue is partly because of the situation people are put in. Just like the sisters in the organization in general, who are put in a situation where you can only marry a Jehovah's Witness. I don't care if you found a man that is better than everybody in this congregation. He has to be a Jehovah's Witness. And if you can't find a Jehovah's, you just can't marry anybody. Or if you marry somebody in this hall because we made you marry a Jehovah's Witness, then, well, if it don't work out, then you're just not free to marry anybody else and you're just screwed. They have policies that just screw people over. And even if you do get married, because there's no set rule as to how you get married at Bethel, people just like you and you and your wife can stay. If they don't like you or for some other reason, they just tell you gotta go. It's kind of hit or miss with that. But even the people that can get married and stay at Bethel, they can't have kids. Now, what kind of sense does that make? You got somebody who has been without a woman for who knows how long. They finally get one because Bethel allows them to marry and stay there. Most just don't make it that long. Most leave and find a girl because he just can only hold out for so long. But the people that have held out for a long time, they've been holding out for a long time, and they finally get a Bethel bride, you could say, to be able to stay there with them. Now you can't have kids. I don't remember condoms being in the commissary. I could be wrong because I was single Bethelite. I wasn't looking for condoms. But I don't remember condoms being in the commissary. And I worked in the infirmary, so I don't recall them being in the nurses' station either. So you just put people in all kind of bad situations because he finally unleashes all them long years on his Bethel bride, and more than likely you're going to have a kid. So unless you just got people mad running to go and have abortions at Bethel, the whole concept just does not make sense. And put one and one together, if something doesn't make sense, probably somebody without sense thought of it. And that's the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses. Darn near every policy is stupid. All of them policies are stupid. So you have an issue with masturbation at Bethel, and it almost would be better. The sex dolls that are such a big deal. If you're not on social media very much, you may not know about this. But they have sex dolls, and not that I want to know about this. I'll look at my Facebook, scroll down the feed, and there's a big picture of people talking about this doll that looks super realistic. Bethel may just need to issue all these young Bethelites one of those dolls because they're going to masturbate anyway. You can't take somebody and put them in a facility full of all men, and the only women that are there are the ones handpicked from all around the country to become Bethel wives, And a lot of them are super attractive, but they're all someone's wife. You can't speak to any of them. And then you get glimpses of women all the time from tours. So you have these women just walking by. You can't do much because you're at work. You just get to watch them as they go by. And then if you go to your congregation and there aren't very many of them there, then you just don't talk to them. You just get to see them all the time. And you might get to talk to one at an assembly or something to that effect. But you're at a disadvantage. Let's just put it that way. If you're a young Bethelite, you're at a disadvantage. Let's definitely just put it that way. And people have a issue with masturbation, and it may not even be that big of an issue, but people masturbate who are not in that predicament. There are people that masturbate that have plenty of opportunities to talk to women all of the time. There's people that masturbate that have a wife or a husband or a girlfriend or a boyfriend. So imagine someone in a facility full of men, women, you can see other people's wives, girls walking by all the time on these tours. You may even be the tour guide and you're trying to steady focus on these things at Bethel you see every day to explain it, and you got these women walking with you and you're more focused on them. You get to see them, but you're not really in a position to date as often. So you end up with these parties and things happen at the party because you've been holding it in for so long. It's a situation where oftentimes I think Bethelites just need to leave, man. They just do your year and leave. Do your year and leave, because you're going to mess around and you're going to hold this stuff in. And you got all these older men in their 40s that are not married and they're gay. I'm not trying to rag on gay people or the actual person. I'm talking about the situation at Bethel where there's obviously something wrong. I worked in the moving department, so I moved all over the place. The upholstery shop. Hopefully the guy that worked there is not watching this, but the upholstery shop had a guy in there that was openly gay. And a lot of people at Bethel are openly gay. Like, you could tell just by how they talk and everything else. So I go there to figure out what they want me to move and where they want me to move it. So I'm talking to the overseer of the upholstery shop. Well, somebody that works there, a guy that works there, a real slim white guy that works there, and he just walks extremely feminine, comes out and he's just angry. And he's like, because they're wasting fabrics. We have limited amount of fabrics and they're not to be wasted. Like, he has that lisp where you just can't mistake it, and nobody tells them to leave or anything. So my guess is he was probably either just that way, or maybe he was groomed as a young boy, or just people that are kind of high up like him kind of that way. Like, sex in general is an issue at Bethel, and it doesn't need to be an issue. Bethel can bring women in there and work in the upholstery shop and work in the shoe shop and work all over the place. Women can work all over the place. All these years, they've been making these Bethelites suffer for no reason. Let women work at Bethel. They're just too dumb to do it. If they worked there, then people could meet, date, stay at Bethel together, be a whole lot less problems for the organization. With all this sexual stuff going on at Bethel, you have a lot less, in my opinion, you'd have a lot less of that, because you have at least the option of just normal dating without having to go through a whole lot to try to meet sisters. So really just the whole structure in itself, is obviously nonsensical, because the people that come up with this stuff have no sense whatsoever. And then this isn't really so much about Bethel, but you have the memorial coming up, and we just spoke about the memorial not too long ago. May have been the last video I did, and none of it makes sense because it's the easiest thing to do, laid out in scripture for you, and they are playing hot potato with these emblems. They're passing these things around and nobody's partaking of it. Think about this. Nobody invites people to a meal and doesn't give them any of the food or the drink. Can you imagine having a campaign where you got all these Jehovah's Witnesses passing all these flyers telling everybody in the city to come to a essentially Lord's evening meal, and you ain't getting none of the food or none of the wine? Can you imagine that? I'm going to an event, a commemoration where there is bread and wine. They're going to pass it around. They ain't going to give me none. Why even go? You can commemorate it. You can remember it at home. If you ain't getting to participate, why are you going? The two people in the entire circuit that are going to partake could just go and partake together. Why do they need a whole audience of people watching them when apparently they're not the ones Jesus was talking about? Now, that's just a Jehovah's Witness teaching. It's stupid. Everybody knows but Jehovah's Witnesses. Everybody else knows but Jehovah's Witnesses that that's for everyone. Everyone is to partake. Christ's sacrifice, the doctrine is that is for everyone. All of it is for everyone. Jehovah's Witnesses it's just ridiculous. From Bethel to everything else, the way everything is set up is pure stupidity, pure ridiculousness. And in 2018, come on now. Y'all got to have more sense than that, because all this stuff is online and we can all see it and we all know it's dumb. You know what I mean? I understand the older people that are older and they don't know nobody else but Jehovah's Witnesses. They just need something to do. Let them go out as far as door to door, walk around, get a little exercise and go back home. You know, they need just something to do because they're older. They don't know nothing else. But the younger people, there ain't no reason for y'all not to know that this is retarded. All of it is retarded, because there ain't nowhere in the organization you can look and you don't have something retarded. Y'all going to an event where there's bread and there's wine and you can't have none. So why are you going? Getting dressed up to go to an event and you can't have none. That don't even make no sense. I can't even imagine inviting a bunch of people to a barbecue and not giving them none of the barbecue. Only Jehovah's Witnesses would do something just that dumb. Just that dumb. So comment down below. Let me know what you think. Obviously, I'm joking about buying your son a sex doll to keep him from injuring and having a swollen wrist at Bethel from the masturbation and what have you. The real issue is they put your kid in a bad situation. You put the kid in a situation where he can't date women that easily, and he's around a bunch of older men who like boys. So that's those two things added together isn't going to equal a positive. You got a lot of people leaving Bethel that don't even want to talk about it. So there's no telling what may have happened. 937-789-4029. This is X Walk Hill Bethelite signing out.